Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated, and as if to prove the point made at the end of the last episode, the Kingdom of England is under attack from a vassal of Sweden. They're winning at the moment, but what we can see is that the Norse are turning their attention towards the weaker powers in the British and Irish Isles, and as Ireland has now cemented its control over the island of Ireland and over a majority of Scotland, we still have a couple of holdout areas that are under Swedish control. Now they are turning their attention towards the rather fractured Kingdom of England. I said towards the end of the last episode that we're going to need to get our forces up, get them up to capacity, and look at invading England. Possibly in this episode, I'd like to be in a position to do so throughout this episode, but we're going to have to see. And speaking of kingdoms in crisis, it's a good thing that Rúadacán took the opportunity to travel and see the Kingdom of Jerusalem while it existed, because that has also vanished, destroyed in 1017, just over a year ago. I was just about to call a hunt, because it seemed like the most sensible thing to do at this point in time, when I came across this option: hold mystical communion. I will reach for the presence of God in transfixed ecstasy. I've no idea why we're being given this option, what it comes from. Is it that we have a trait from the mystics group? I suppose, is this the wise man? Is this from the mystics group? Mystical communion. It will give us +1 martial, +1 learning. Stress gain goes down and stress loss goes up. I think maybe mystical communion is a bit outside of the straight edge that we've tended to cut for Rúadacán, especially as he's a scholar. I am intrigued by it. For now, we're just going to go to hunt to gain some prestige. The other reason is I don't necessarily want to spend any piety for now, because we are about 30 off of getting to the next level of devotion. So we might hold off until we get a bit higher. Recently, somebody posted in the comments section, they just watched the video in which Flann Sinna's wife, Sif, was murdered, and that was our chances to establish an Uí Néill Iceland gone. And they said they hoped that Flann Sinna took revenge and would go and claim Iceland for the woman he loved. Now, a couple of episodes had passed since then. Flann Sinna was long dead, and I was sitting there thinking about the alcoholic lunacy that he descended into. But isn't this quite interesting? We have a guest at our court, Martha.
Why did you say that name?
And Martha has a claim to the Jarldom of Iceland. Now, if we look, here is her father, and then if we go and look at his father, so this is Martha's grandfather, we will see that her grand aunt was High Queen Sif of Ireland. So what we have here in Martha is somebody in our court, 16 years of age, that could be married off to a member of the Uí Néill family, and we could go to war with Iceland for her claim to the Icelandic throne. Let's see about recruiting her. 63 euros. She wants a lot of money, but you know what? I think it's worth it. We don't have tremendously great characters to pick from. I always say that, don't I? We're going to marry her off to a descendant of Trenka. So here is his father, and here is Trenka, Max Scanlon. So there is Trenka, the former what was he? High Chieftain of Leinster. There is his father, Scanlon, who was killed actually in one of Flann Sinna's battles. So we'll send that proposal. What we might end up seeing is the Leinster branch of the family establishing a dynasty in Iceland. Now, interestingly enough, we'll send that first of all. Ossory would originally have been ruled by the Dalburn. Now, I can't remember where they've ended up. They definitely had Munster for a period of time. Let's come to the let's come here. So, installed by faction demand, you can see that they actually ruled for a considerable period of time. Then the Uvorda, they're not actually a real family. That's just a paradox mistake, which we'll probably go and try and suggest at some stage. But the Dalburn, I should actually come here to Ossory instead. It might be a bit of a better idea. And we've the Uí Néill and the Dalburn in the 880s, but you can see that they've actually, or the Dalburn, they've ruled this area back into the 700s, back into the early 700s. How far back can we go? Back into 603, and then you have the Kirka Lee and Laois. The county of Laois comes from this word here. But the Dalburn, let's see where he is. Let's see if we can find him. Do I even remember who I'm looking for? Cruel MacDunlena. Is this him? Is this our Cruel MacDunlena? It is. Cruel MacDunlena. So he was ruler of Ossory. He's a real historical character. Ruled Ossory, but a lot of dynasties in Iceland actually claim descent from him. So it'd be interesting. I was thinking for a while maybe we should actually marry the Martha off to a branch of his family and actually recreate the real life Icelandic dynasties that claimed descent from this individual, but they've actually gotten a slightly better deal, or they had for a period of time, and they still do. I'm not entirely too sure how this happened, but at some point in time, they inherited Brittany. So they've gone in the opposite direction. They've left the island of Ireland, as happened historically, but they've gone in the opposite direction. Multoli had a claim on Brittany, which I was thinking of enforcing. I am thinking of just saying, hey, this region's being ruled by Irish people, but they're not following the proper religious tenets. We should go and bring them into Ireland. But for now, what we might see about doing is pushing Martha's claims, especially once she marries into the Uí Néill family. Here is our Duke, the Duke of Northumbria. He absolutely despises us. He has land thrown everywhere about the kingdom. So he has Northumbria, and look at this, he's a member of the Dalburn. I was wondering where they'd gone to. He also controls the actual county of Connaught and the county of Angus. And as you can imagine, attempts to retract any of those from him and give them out to somebody else, not happy. 33% success chance. He would, even just to retract the vassalage and put it under whoever should actually have it. So we could just go after the heart and say, screw you, man. We'd get 150 prestige. He'd lose 15 opinion of us. He doesn't care. He's already wounded, so I wonder would this actually push him towards dying. But maybe we can try and bring him around to being our friend. He'll gain 20 opinion, he'll lose wounded, and we will gain practiced field surgery, which will give us +1 to learning, and that might help us again increase the development in the kingdom. Move. I'm trained in medicine. Are you a doctor? I'm trained in medicine. Well, not the most exciting. Have we ever caught anything on these hunts? Other than that one time that did we kill a vassal, or did we hand him over to the guards? I can't remember. I think he accidentally killed somebody and tried to blame it on the heart. I think that's the only time anything has actually died. We've never caught any animals. What do we have at these feasts? Is it literally just drink? Is that it? Because I don't ever see us capturing animals for these feasts that we hold. Whatever. There's been a switch in the succession. So we're supporting Don, who has just become the Earl of Buckinghamshire. Isn't that way down in Essex? That's not in any former territory belonging to Mercia or to Hybert. So I don't know how the hell he's ended up down there. First things first. Let's see if he'll accept vassalage. He will not. Your realm isn't all that distant from mine. Don't you be giving me a minus 100 penalty for distant realm. You're not that far distant. See that? See that? I'll be over to you in a second. Once I get this, I'll be down to you, even faster. So don't you be giving me that penalty. So he's now removed as our successor. And the vote is now being won by Abner. First of all, I refuse to allow a scenario in which there is a High King of Ireland called Abner. Also, he doesn't have great traits. He's not the worst. He's not the worst. Ernach, again, is somebody that we could go for. A very high level diplomacy for now. Just because I think it's hilarious. We're going to support High Chieftain Liacnán II the Foolish. Now, this would be a jump back to Garrel's branch of the family, but it wouldn't be going to Flann Sinna and his descendants. It would be going to Liacnán's descendants, who was Flann Sinna's brother. Pretty much started the civil war against Rúadacán all those decades ago. And I think he was the mastermind behind it, and that, of course, facilitated Flann Sinna coming to power. So yeah, sure. Let's see if we can support him, and he does indeed become our new player heir. He's pretty much as skilled as Rian was, and yeah, I think it'd be hilarious to have High King Liacnán the Foolish. 2 years into this war, practically nothing has changed except that Estonia, who seems to have been stripped of a good chunk of its land, because I remember it actually occupied quite a lot here, where the Gardariki used to be. I know they were over a bit further, but they've managed to find an ally. It doesn't seem to have contributed much to them. They're still at pretty much the same level that they were when we were fighting them in Scotland. These guys have gotten another 1,000 troops. They still haven't changed the war score. And I'm this far zoomed out just in case you missed it the last time around. These guys, I don't even know who they are. They're somehow... That's a very spread out kingdom. Fair play. Just got to pop up that a person of interest to us, Glad, has died, drank herself to death at 73 years of age. The daughter of Flann Sinna. And I can't remember which one was it. Astrid. She, of course, was a concubine of the Metal King of Sweden, Starkiller Face, who we attempted to assassinate a number of decades ago. Not that long ago. Oh, wow, about 4 decades ago now, I'd say. But somebody else got there first. And if we look actually at her sibling list, it's emptying out a lot. And here's the guy that we were intending to place as a puppet king of England. It's not looking great that we'll be in a position to do so. And of course, his daughters are of House Uí Néill. If there's any children from this marriage, possibly we could look at installing them, as in I would eventually, if we did manage to form an empire, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We barely even had a kingdom an episode or two ago, and now we're looking at an empire. But if we do manage to form an empire, it's some descendant of this guy that I would be looking to put in charge of England, because of course he is the only male child that had children of his own of Flann Sinna and either Asta or Astrid, members of House Accra. I'm overcomplicating this more than it needs to be. So the good news is that Martha is pregnant. The bad news is that Martha has left our court. She's in Lennox and we're not in a position to press her claims. And of course her husband is he spy master? He's steward. So he doesn't want to come to our court. I've tried, we get a big penalty, minus 135 to an invite. We might need to try and sway him, send him money. Or possibly, I don't know if this would work, but if they have a child, could we offer to become a guardian to the child? But that's 6 years away. I think this is a problem that we're going to have to look into at a later point in time. Good news, at least, we are known for our dedication to faith. He's up to Paragon of Virtue. It's going to take a while to get to Religious Icon. I think that's 4,000. We're getting 3 a month. The maths is not looking good, unless we can go on about several more pilgrimages. And as predicted in the last episode, we have inherited Carrick from one of our knights who served us in our previous battles. I think he was the guy who killed Flann Sinna. And he is after dying without children. We have inherited his county. Here is our daughter Flann, who we may have encased in a metal mask that seems to have holes cut out for her cheeks. Interesting design. And this was after we ordered our physician to spare no expense, or not to hold back in trying experimental treatments on her. And this is the result. We saved her life from, I think it was smallpox or something. But we feel the need to divulge a secret. And we're apparently going to confess to her our murder secret. I didn't know we had a murder secret. Is this one of the... Did we actually manage to murder somebody? I know we tried to murder a couple of Norse kings. Well, apparently we're going to tell her. She'll gain 10 opinion, we'll lose some stress, and she will learn of our secret. It was only a matter of time before Sweden's weakness would be noticed by the other world powers. The problem is that I think Romagna is coming in a bit too late. That's all well and good that they can put together an alliance of 16,000 soldiers, but if Sweden is conquered by the Sami, then we're all in a lot of trouble. They are declaring a holy war for the Duchy of Lombardy. We will, of course, accept. I'd hoped that we would be devoting our attention in other directions. And what we're going to do is we're going to siege down the territories in Scotland and Wales. And this could very well be the last major battle of Rúadacán's life. Next month he will be 63 years of age. So I'm not too sure if we're going to see the conquest of England or the conquest of Iceland under his rule. A small bit of deja vu here. We've split our armies in two and we're proceeding just like we did at the start of the last episode. Sieging down Lothian and Lanarkshire. Oh my god, if we could capture your one in Lanarkshire again for a third time, that would be just fantastic. On the one hand, I think to myself, poor owl Sweden. On the other hand, no. You brought this upon yourself. And on the other hand, yes, I have 3 hands. We are terrified by the fact that at any point in time in this war, 1,700 strong Sweden could suddenly become 24-ish thousand strong Sweden, especially as this is a holy war, so I have no idea who this could potentially drag in. What have you actually declared war for? Thankfully, there's a number of counties. I thought they had just declared war for a single county. That would have been not great. And at least one... Oh, I thought one of the counties was maybe insular. No, but we can see that insular Christianity has been... Well, it's actually expanded a lot, but it's now wedged between Norse paganism and the Waldensians. At 63 years of age, High King Rúadacán is now the second eldest Irish High King. Gregan Grafador was 61 when he passed away, and Flann Sinna I was 66. Rúadacán, I think, will be remembered as the greatest Irish High King in the annals, predominantly because of his scholar trait. The annals will remember him as the holiest, the most learned, the greatest leader. I think he will secure his legacy in a way that no Irish High King before him will have done, most certainly. We might argue that Multholí or Flann Sinna I had a much more difficult job, but Rúadacán, I think, is the one that will be remembered by the annals, and considering the 2 members of his branch of the family who succeeded him, or who preceded him, Rúadacán I and Blahamach, I think it's an amazing achievement for Rúadacán. You'll see here on the right hand side that an alliance has ended, because somebody is no longer the ruler of the area. And of course he is the brother to this guy. I can't pronounce these names. And so this is the brother-in-law of Martha. I gave him some money. Still won't accept an invite to court. I don't think we're in a position to declare war for her. We can declare a war on the Jarl of Iceland, and it's not for her claims, it's for Gudbrand's claim to Orkney, which is something we might be forced to resort to if we can't actually get them into our court. I think the recent episodes have easily knocked a couple of years off of my life due to the stress levels, and this is an example of what I'm talking about. We can see neighbouring ruler won war, and the King of Sweden has been replaced in our war for Lombardy. Well, obviously, that means that the Sami have won, and they have now entered the war for Lombardy. No. The King of England won his war against Norland at the exact same point in time that the King of Sweden died under mysterious circumstances and was replaced by somebody else, not a son of his anyway. How many kings of Sweden have died under mysterious circumstances? So Starkiller Face was murdered. His successor died under suspicious circumstances. We were involved in that death, and this is the 3rd ruler in a row to die from mysterious circumstances, or to be basically assassinated. There was a big, long, convoluted thing here. Starkiller Face was murdered by this guy. He, in turn, was executed by way of Blood Eagle by Philip, Starkiller Face son. So Philip managed to find the guy who killed his father and executed him. It got confusing there for a while. There was a bit more to it. I think it's something to do with the county. The guy who killed Starkiller Face, his brother was killed by somebody else, or was a vassal of somebody. It got weird. It got confusing. I think he actually ended up as the King of Norway, something like that. I'm not going to go into it right now. The annals will deal with it. The annals will deal with it. We've won our 2 sieges, taken a lot of prisoners, but sadly we didn't take that person that we had taken hostage twice before, taken prisoner twice before. We're now called into another war for somebody's claim to Upper Lorraine. Who is this? Who are you? My sister-in-law? Sure. Isn't it great to be back in a position where we can just declare war on people again, or accept invites to war and we don't even know what's going on? That's how powerful the Kingdom of Ireland has become. I don't fully know what's going on in this war. I think she should have about 2,000 troops without us, so she's fine. She can deal with that on her own. Tons of allies have been joining the war against Sweden, or have been joining on the Swedish side, and it's made no contribution whatsoever. They're still at under 2,500 troops. We're up to 1,500, which could be helpful should the worst happen. What is the worst, you may ask? That is victory by the Sami. They're now up to 21%. I don't understand why this is going so slowly for them. But they're now down to 16,000 troops. How's the war score going? Again, they're just occupying a few places. They've won 1 battle by the looks of it. And then they're occupying for another 16%. So they're going about this rather slowly, which is fantastic. Because it is giving some of the powers a chance to try to carve up Sweden, bits and pieces. So we've taken a chunk out of Scotland. Hopefully the Romagna will take a chunk out of here. It'd be great if West Francia or somebody would think about attacking for this bit here. And so without even noticing it, the Kingdom of Ireland has grown again. Can you see it? Can you see the county that we've added? County that has become part of the Kingdom of Ireland? No? Well, that's because it's down here. This is an interesting scenario. I only just noticed this now. I actually have no idea when this happened. God, I need to actually go in on the county itself. So this guy has inherited, I'm not even going to make an attempt to pronounce it, on the 11th of August 1019. Remember when I said this game was going to be finished in the year 1000? He's after, we're after spreading into Europe. Now the handy thing is, we were getting to a stage where we were cutting off our opportunities for raiding. Now look at this. Oh boys, we're surrounded by Lothringia and West Francia. There's probably going to be a war for that county at some stage. I want to hold on to it. But yeah, now, like, I was going to look at conquering Brittany, the way it would give us an opportunity to raid into this region. Now look at what we got. Oh boys. The heart. That's not the heart of Christendom, but it's the heart of expensive places with lots of gold. That's what it is. We'll be sailing up and down the Seine. I was going to say we're going to be sailing up and down the Champs-Élysées. We're going to get a boat and put it on wheels, and we're going to sail up and down the road. And we're going to take all the money. I'm not entirely too sure what motivates these decisions, but Ernach, who, as I've mentioned a couple of times, was considered as a potential successor, is after launching a dead body at us in Dublin. 40% chance ravaged by disease, 40% chance that one of our courtiers contracts the disease if we send it back to him. We'll try studying the corpse. That's what we usually do in these circumstances. How's our piety? Burying the body is not going to do great. 45, and what we get? 50. Oh, it'll double. Yeah, we'll study the body and hope that nobody gets the disease this time round. It was our daughter Flann who contracted it the last time. Not alone just to keep the alliance going, but also for the prestige. We're going to marry... Well, we're not going to get any prestige, but we're going to marry our granddaughter. She is feeble and hunchback, but the current king of West Francia will still take her as a wife. Send that proposal. Poor owl Yolande. She's not having a great time of it. She's a bastard of the House of Toulouse. She was married to Rian, who was killed in battle. And now we're going to marry her off to another member of the family. A grandson of ours. And there's a chance that any children will be comely, scaly, and delicate. They're related. And there is a risk of children being inbred. I don't think they're related. I don't think so. Or maybe there is. We did marry somebody into... Let's roll the dice. How much worse could it get? Well, now all the wars are breaking out. West Francia has declared war for the Duchy of Bar against Lothringia. Well, we'll accept, but I mean, there's nothing we can do because, I mean, we're so terribly, terribly far away. It's not like we have a... Oh, we actually do have a county wedged in between the two of them. This is going to be tremendous because this actually puts us in a position where we can just teleport all of our troops to this point and begin taking a more active affair or a more active role in the affairs of the European continent. Flann Sinna would have taken a more active affair in the European continent. That's what he would have used this for. We've just ransomed off a prisoner for a tenner. I can't ransom off anyone else. I'll get a favour for Hafrid. Heising has good... He's a grey eminence. Diplomacy isn't great. Let's go for Orvar first. 19 Marshal. Brilliant strategist. I'm not too sure what we're going to do with him. We're going to hold on. We're going to hold on for a minute. I've no idea. I'm going to call this guy Ulfus because I've no idea how to pronounce his first name. Let's take a look at him. 23 prowess, 19 martial, brilliant strategist, hail, negotiate release, recruit. We won't demand conversion. We will leave him with his +1. It doesn't make much of a difference. Can we gain a weak hook as well? Do you know we can, but we won't be that mean to him. We will negotiate his release. And he's going to be put right into battle against the people that he just joined us from. So there he is. The poor dude tells us that he had no choice but to accept. And I was just going to look at High King Rúadacán. His dread is at 97. So I think that pretty much cements what's going to happen to our remaining prisoner. I was hoping that dread would maybe cause Mercia to accept vassalization, but it won't. So we're up to 100% opinion with them, 100 dread, so they're terrified of us. But it's still at -2 to accepting vassalization. We may very well have to go in there and actually conquer the region. We're beginning to see Norse forces arriving to siege down the areas that we've taken. These battles are the first in which we're deploying onagers. So I kind of sorted out our military a small bit. We have an onager in there. And we have light horsemen for the first time ever. I'm not too sure where the other guys went. Oh, there's a bit going on down here as well. Or else we're hostile towards the English or something. I'm not too sure. We won the war that we paid absolutely no attention to. That's fantastic. The Gaul Oglig are fighting. Who the hell are they fighting for? I have no idea. So this is absolutely shocking. Our vassal that we gave land to because of his service, he is having an affair with our daughter. Do you know what? Other than the fact that he has lover's pox, I say let them at it, because they both have bait up faces. So, you know, yeah, let them be happy. Let them be happy. Don't be so judgmental. But apparently we lose 30 opinion with him. A tiny Swedish army has landed. It's not even a Swedish army. I'm not too sure who they are. But they're trying to siege back Lothian. We've gained a martial lifestyle perk. I'm going to deal with that first of all. And then we're going to deal with that battle against them and move further south. Increasing prowess, reducing the risk to of commanding an army. And what's the other one? Knight effectiveness. These would be great. These would be great. But they're 6 years away. I think we'll just go for hard rule, which will... The only thing that's of major benefit to us is that the threshold for faction military power goes up, and dread gain also goes up. So that'll at least... Our dread will stay high as we try to get a number of places to accept vassalization. So we will unlock that. And then if we do manage to get an extra perk, it'll be... decreasing mercenary hire cost, which might be very helpful to us if we do end up engaged in a war against a very large Scandinavian power. The Norse are attempting to run, maybe a bit too late, or they might get out of there before us. I'm not too sure. They don't. They've been caught. And that was over before I even actually had time to see what was going on. What we're going to do is we're going to march the army south into Lancashire, split it in half, and then start hitting a region that we've paid very little attention to until now, and that is Swedish Wales. Bless them. The Norse are moving past us. They're going to go back to Lothian. All we're going to do is just bring these guys from up here down. We're just gonna bring them down and attack them in a couple of seconds. This is absolutely disgusting and disgraceful behavior. I can't even read it. Our Archbishop Carnoch has transgressions. That's what he's been doing. And we're going to condemn him. We're going to gain 100 piety, gain some stress, and he's going to lose opinion of us. Bold. This is an interesting development. I figured out what's going on down here. This is the Jarldom of Gwynedd. And within their number, they have the Gaul Oglig. So in the last episode I was talking about the Battle of Clontarf and how Vikings fought with the Irish and how the Irish fought with the Vikings. A number of Irish powers, Leinster and Dublin, joined together to fight against Brian Boru. Well, that's exactly what we see here. We see the Gaul Oglig, the Galoglas, have joined with Sweden. Who's actually in charge? I want to speak to your manager. Who's your manager? Yeah. Look at this now. They have a Gaelic pagan. Do you get to see the title history? You do indeed. There's Clemens, who we hired him at one stage. Died a leper in 981. And it's been a while, actually. They've been under the control of Gaelic Norse pagans for a while. Moldov is the last one. That's he's the son of Ead, the original Flann Sinna's stepfather. So they've actually been under Norse control for quite a while, or they've been led by Gaelic pagans. So maybe there's nothing to be shocked about. I have put the man himself, High King Rúadacán, in charge of the army, and instead of splitting it, we're sending it in. We're going to try and strike this army. I've been offering Shropshire vassalage for ages. And ages, it was getting close. Let's try and offer him vassalage now. Oh, we can't, because he's at war. He's at war against Cheshire, who are hopefully going to conquer him. Even though he's actually sieging down their territory at the moment, so maybe not. Well, it looks like the Galoglas are running, and I bet I know where they're going to run to. So we're just going to bring our army in, put it sieging down this area for now. And then see where exactly they're going. But I have an idea of what's going to happen. We are at least going to get one battle, and like I said, we're bringing that army down from northern Scotland to hit these fools. They had an opportunity to move away, or to keep moving and retreat, but they stayed. They tried to siege down one of our areas. And we've now handed... That was a substantial hit to them. So that's not what I expected. The Galoglas got onto a ship, sailed over here, and sailed back, and they're coming back onto the land here. As far as I know, this is... Maybe it's a different army. This is the one that the Galoglas were allied to. I think what we'll try to do is we'll try to hit them. Oh, there's a couple of battles going on. They're fighting amongst themselves. I was going to move to attack them, but somebody's coming up. I think they're going to move against us. They're going to attack us instead. Fantastic. I'm not going to say no to that. Maybe we should have. Well, looks like we got a bit too overconfident. We do, however, have another army coming in. They're going to suffer a few casualties as they maneuver down in that direction. And possibly if they pull the same thing again, that Earl that was holding out against us has actually managed to defend his county against Cheshire. But if they manage to, if they do the same thing again where they leave and come back, we might be able to hit them. Oh, that is fantastic. We caught one of their armies. And this one is being commanded by our champion Goodbard, who has ripped somebody's head off. Put them there, sieging that area down. We look at our battles. That was just a tiny one where we came in against some people who were sieging the area down. This is our battle that we lost just a few seconds ago. There's Cochmall of Man. And then our victory. Goodbrand ripping off poor old Salmon's head. They didn't have many troops because, of course, the Gaul Oglig had actually left. And I think they're heading up I actually have no idea what direction they've gone in. They're way up here now at this stage. We've taken more prisoners. We've always taken prisoners. We have a husband and wife duo who've actually been here for a while. Our dread has dropped to 88. I think we get 16 dread for executing somebody. So this will bring us... Oh, this is 18. This guy executing... This guy will bring us up to 100. Well over 100. He is a grandson of the King of Norway, or of a King of Norway. That was rather bad timing by that retreating army. They came in against the force that we were sending down. The High Queen is pregnant. That's rather impressive. Rúadacán is now 64. If he's not 65 years of age. He just had his 65th birthday quite recently, in July. So he's on the verge of becoming the oldest ever Irish High King. With the way that the war score is ticking up, it's entirely possible that this war will come to an end before we manage to siege any of these areas down. We've lost some money because I've gone on a building spree, building a couple of random buildings throughout Ireland. We are pushing up the development level of a few counties. It's not affecting our technological progression. Maybe it doesn't affect us when we're whatever the hell we are, feudal. And by feudal, I of course mean tribal. We have hit 100% war score. We're on the verge of actually sieging down 2 more areas. And there you go. The war has come to an end. February 1022, we have won the war led by King Lambert of Romagna. What did we get? 186 prestige, not too shabby. And 94 opinion with the King of Romagna. That's the most important part. So be it. So we'll pause quickly. And we'll take a look at the scenario. What was essential there was that we managed to bring the war to an end before... Now, I keep saying this. How long has this been going on now? 6 years. The Sami and their massive alliance still have not been able to finish off the Swedish. I don't know what the hell is going on. They're at 24% war score at the moment. They lost a battle. You've 17,000 troops. And you lost a battle. I don't know how the hell this is going to end. My God, if they accept a white peace or something crazy like that, I don't know what to say. We're going to pull our forces out of Sweden and into Irish England. We've ransomed off a prisoner we caught there in the last siege. Looks like one of those sieges did go through, so that was fantastic. And like I said, quite impressive. Fair play, Rúadacán. His wife has given birth to a son. I accidentally accepted his name instead of clicking the button to see other Irish names. I have no idea how to pronounce that. It could be a version of Dara. But yeah, well, he's stuck with it now. May you grow to be whatever the tooltip said, my son. It's been a long day. Let's stand down this army. And this one. So it'll take a while for them to come back up to capacity. Something's going on up in the Isles. Who knows? Who cares? We're still at war with Lothringia. Our allies are at 49% war score. Is it possible that we could teleport our army across to here, raise them and siege down 1 or 2 places just to get some positive contributions, or should we accept that that war is going to come to an end soon? There's very little that we can do to gain anything there, and instead look at what I promised in the last episode, which was the conquest of England. Martha is not answering our calls. We were hoping to be in a position to install her in Iceland. She's ran away. I think they're wandering around England somewhere. Our main knight, who ripped off somebody's head in the last battle, he has a claim to Orkney. So we could see about enforcing that, or we could just see about taking care of this scenario. They're in another war. They're attacking Lothringia. They're going to expand in this direction. But we could and should soon be in a position where we could declare war against them. And like I said, complete the conquest of a good chunk of Britain and Ireland. We need 80 counties. But if we could take England, we could force Mercia to accept our authority, Essex, all these small little regions, then go to war with Brittany. By that stage, this man is bound to be dead. He could live into his 70s, who knows? But he's on the verge. 15th of July is going to be his birthday, so we'll have a big birthday celebration for him in the next episode, because he will be joint equal with Flann Sinna I as the oldest king. If he makes it. So there you go. An odd and interesting episode. I expected that we would either be hitting England. Within the first 5 minutes of the episode, I expected that we'd be hitting Iceland. Instead, we contributed to the continuing breakup, the continuing collapse of Sweden. If it is collapsing, maybe it's not, maybe it's going to make it out of this. I have no idea what's actually going on. Are these guys caught in another war or anything? Is there anything else that's going on? They are. Maybe that's what's blocking all of this. There's a civil war that I think they're losing. This entire scenario has gone chaotic. So that's why nothing has been happening with the last while. We're seeing just utter anarchy in Scandinavia, and so possibly there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of this. I don't know how much longer we have a truce with Sweden, or whether it restarted after that war there. But yeah, possibly we could be looking at taking another 2 counties. My God, I would be kicking myself now if we just went for that 1 county. Thank God we took all of them. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen on the next episode. Either the conquest of England, or an attempt to conquer England. Can Rúadacán live long enough to secure his 3rd crown? Because of course he's King of Scotland as well. I don't know what's going to happen to the 2 titles when he dies. Are we going to see them split? And or will whoever is elected as King of Ireland also inherit Scotland? That would be tremendous. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I don't think we're out of the woods just yet. I don't think we're safe. We're 22 years past the date when I said the series was going to come to an end. But with the chance to form an empire, we're going to keep on trucking. And the series will probably come to an end once we either form that empire, or once it becomes crystal clear that we're never going to form that empire. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I'll talk to you on the next one.